I remember the very first paintball event I ever went to was in 1994 when I was a junior in high school in Orlando, World Cup. And that was really when I kind of fell in love with the sport because it was just so intense. I had all these crazy guys from all over the world, but I wanted to know more. Who were these guys? Who was shooting who? How were these moves being made? Because ultimately I wanted to become better, so that's why I wanted that information. But it was so hard to watch the games back then because these games were being played in the woods, so you had to line up on the sidelines and just peek and try to find out what was happening. As I kind of ramped up my paintball career and spiraled into the madness of a pro paintball life, the game was progressing. You moved out of the woods, it moved to hyperball, it moved to airball, the game speed increased, and skills that you used to not necessarily have to play at a very high level. You just had to be really smart and tenacious. But the skills themselves really started to become something that you had to have to compete. And in order for us to figure out who the hell was good and who wasn't, we started just taking little baby statistics down for ourselves when we would have practices on Ironman or when we got on excessive, who got shot first and how long you lived for. If you died out of your bunker, did you die running out to your spot? All these little statistics, and it kind of opened my eyes a little bit. And then when I pulled back from playing competitively to move into more production side and media of paintball, I remember doing the Smart Parts Championships, which was a standalone event made just for TV, and at this point I'd done a couple of these shows and needed more stuff to talk about, honestly, and at least had my wits about me enough that I wasn't just kind of like a deer in the headlights doing these shows. It was more like, okay, on another level, what sort of information can we be getting to try to give the fans more to talk about and filter more information into the game. At that event, I talked to a couple of the guys who were there, like Nicky Cuba. There's a couple other guys, and they helped me out and actually stood right beside us when we were doing the show. In between their games, they'd come up and we'd literally just started with Angel Fergoza, in the snake doing work, just chopping people up. And at first, we didn't really know if we could do it, to be honest, because to try to figure out who shot who. And when we got into it and we started approaching it that way, it actually wasn't really that difficult to figure out the confirmed kills. That's what we wanted to get. And it wasn't necessarily, you're not going to get every single one. You're not going to get every elimination. That's just impossible almost, because paintball is innately chaotic. But you are going to be able to get those confirmed eliminations where, how many times you see one guy beat another guy in a gunfight, or one guy runs another player down and bunkers him from 2 feet away, or one guy makes a great move and shoots a guy cross field. Those are obvious things that happen, and anyone that's got a decently trained eye can spot those and count them. And so it worked. And then moving forward, we started to do the webcast for the PSP, and I went to all the pro captains and I said, hey, I think we can count kills, and this is how we're going to do it. I just need you guys to volunteer your time and kind of explain everything, and pretty much everyone loved it, and they were down for it, and that was really cool to see because that proved that it could be done, and it got those guys excited about it. And then as we started to move forward, and then paintball itself evolving and becoming more complex. And guys like Dave Youngblood and Lane Wright who saw the value in this and the importance of it. In fact, I was talking to Dave not too long ago at the start of this season as we were getting ready for this, and we really need to work hard to tell the stories of these teams and these players that give their lives to this, even if it's for a brief time, and that's fascinating things are happening, and that we really need to be cataloging what's happening on the statistics side of it. He basically said to me, he was like, look, this is about putting stuff down for when we're not around anymore. And that kind of definitely hit home because that's true. We got to put some stuff in the record books so that people remember that we were here. And that's what this is about. This is about measures of excellence. This is about trying to figure out who's the best, because at this point, who knows who the best paintball player is? It's all based on legend and story. What you saw one player do, and then that legend then transferring itself across other players. People tell stories of Oliver, or back in the day, Richie Malchevsky, who invented the run-through, or Shane Paston, or Marty Bush, these like legendary stories of these guys and what they could do out there, but that's all it was. We need empirical measures of data that can be applied across the field so we can actually figure out who the best paintball player in the world is, or the best team is. And it's exciting, and it's important, and that's why we're doing it.